The structure of this video is going to be really casual. I just kind of want to explain how the last 8 months without social media has been for me, the reasons behind me wanting to quit social media, and basically my experience after quitting social media and how it's affected me, my personality going forward. So before anyone pipes up for like, oh, he's on YouTube or I saw him on Reddit, then just listen. All right, let me explain. I used to be a real heavy social media user. I was born in 1997 and I kind of just grew up with social media. And I think to a certain extent, social media kind of grew up with me as well. Social media in the sense that we kind of know it today, like the big ones like Instagram, Facebook, not, back in the 90s where you just had weirdos hanging out on forums. So basically, as my freedom on the internet kind of was allowed, all of a sudden things like Bebo started to blow up. Now, Bebo, for anyone who doesn't know what Bebo was like Facebook's cool brother, man. Like Facebook, if Facebook wasn't ran by lizard people, you could play games on it, you could attach videos to your profile. Um, I'm aware of just listing things that Facebook does. Bear with me. So you got like 16 friends, and you could rank them in order, like publicly on your profile. So anyone could go on your profile and see who your top 16 friends were in order. And like you had a certain amount of love to give people each day, and you could give them this love. And that the amount of love you had would show up publicly on your profile, so everyone else could see how much love you had, how much love other people had. Um, it sounds a bit Black Mirror-y now when you look at every like anti-bullying measure that the current social media platforms have in place. But at the time, it was kind of wicked. Bebo for me felt like kind of like a proper expression of yourself and your personality. Like there was a lot of space to write about yourself and your interests, and it was the done thing. You could like design the background of your. If I can find some pictures of random Bebo profiles, I'll throw them up. I tried looking for mine the other day. It doesn't exist anymore. Um, but it felt like an expression of personality. It didn't feel like content. It felt like this is me, and this is me trying to show the world who I am online. So anyway, then when Bebo and MSN started to get a bit tedious, we then started to get Facebook and BBM, and then came along Snapchat and Instagram. And it's just like as I kind of got bored of one, and my like age group kind of got bored of one, we went straight on to the next one, until eventually, yeah, it kind of plateaued. YouTube's kind of been around since the beginning, but my usage over the years has definitely increased. So yeah, I was a heavy social media user for close to 7 years, and there was always this part of me that kind of knew it wasn't healthy. Now, I wasn't like getting involved on the wrong stuff online. I wasn't being really antisocial. I didn't end up massively depressed, but it was always quite apparent to me that I was kind of using it more than I thought was healthy and more than I thought was kind of natural. I always had this feeling that if I could reduce my usage, I'd be a little bit happier, a little bit more productive, and just a little bit more human. I kind of knew that this kind of content consumption was something that had never really been explored before. It never happened in human history. Just to have it at all times of day on your phone, and for that reason, I kind of like naturally wanted to rebel from it. Naturally, didn't want to be involved, um, but I couldn't quit essentially. And I tried to quit. I added digital hygiene measures to my phone. I blocked some websites. The longest I went without any social media was a whole month, and yeah, it felt pretty good. But then, after that, you think that, oh, I'm going to use it in a healthier way, and you go back on, and nah, man, you just keep scrolling again because you've missed a lot, so you catch up. I was still unhappy with how much I was using it, and I think that's when you know you've got a little bit of an issue, when you want to quit something but you can't. Like, who's got the worst Instagram addiction? The guy who scrolls for 6 hours a day and is just calm with it, or the guy who scrolls for 2 hours a day and hates himself for it? The guy who like in his head feels that no, I really want to quit but just cannot put it down. Who's got the worst addiction then? And that feeling where like your actions don't align with your beliefs, that's called cognitive dissonance, and it can basically make you feel a bit like regretful or uncomfortable. um, a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of regret. 27 grand and 3 years studying psychology just to throw out a term cognitive dissonance on you all. So this year, February 2021, On my birthday, I decided to deactivate everything. I put a message on my Instagram and my Snapchat just basically saying, look, here's my number, message me if you need me, but I'm going to take a year off. Here's a quick side note, if you want to deactivate Facebook, you can deactivate your Facebook profile, but you can keep your Messenger account, which is super useful. Like if for like me, like my work group chats on Messenger, all my friends group chats on Messenger, it would have been too much to sacrifice if I had to sacrifice the whole thing. But because I could just get rid of the profile, it made the decision so much easier. So I decided to keep YouTube, and I've recently kind of returned to Reddit. And the reason behind those is because the way I use the content on those two platforms is so much different to how I would consume content on Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. YouTube for me is it's a utility, it's a tool, it's something that I use to kind of find out information, and I go seeking information on YouTube. I rarely just scroll and see what comes up. I look for football highlights, I look for tutorials, and it's very much like it's yeah, it's a tool for me, and I didn't want to deprive myself of this really useful tool. Reddit is kind of similar. Scrolling through Reddit just bores me a bit. The main reason I wanted to get back onto Reddit was to promote these videos. Um, so yeah, if you're here because of that, then I'm guessing it worked, man. But please stick around. Don't let that put you off. So yeah, Reddit and YouTube, they're kind of sources of information rather than sources of entertainment. Like, the thing that always baffles me with stuff like Instagram and Facebook, at least it baffles me now that I'm like 8 months behind it, is when you're scrolling down Facebook and you see like this post from like someone you went to school with, who like not your mates who you went to school with, but just the other people, and you see a post about their brother's birthday or something ridiculous. Like, where does that go in your head? Because you've consumed that. You now know that their brother had a Transformer themed birthday party, and that's in your head. And you might think, oh, it just doesn't take up any space, just it goes again. But I guarantee, if you see them or their brother in the street, instantly you would just like, if you ever sparked up conversation, the fact about their brother's birthday party or whatever it is, their sick dog, whatever, that all popped to your head. So that content that you're mindlessly consuming is still taking up it's taking up space in your head. It's exactly the same with celebrities as well. Although celebrities have a more interesting life, like you don't need to know what The Rock is eating post workout. What good does that do you? Why do you seek that information? So yeah, basically that was 8 months ago, and I'm basically gonna briefly just touch on my experiences since then. First month is hard. You feel out of the loop of everything. You feel like there's kind of like this big online party going on you're not invited to, and your friends will be like, oh, did you see this meme? And you're like, nah, I didn't. Can you show me, please? And you just feel like you're missing a lot, and you'll catch up with some friends and they'll be like, oh, have you seen what so and so's doing? No. Can you show me, please? And you want to be back involved. You want to be feeling like you're back involved with your crew again, and it's kind of a hard feeling. Also, you'll find yourself just getting your phone out of your pocket, opening it up, and then just scrolling your emails, just looking for something to do. And yeah, after the first month, it kind of just gets easier. Like, you don't feel out of the loop. You kind of stop checking your phone compulsively, and you just carrying on with your life. The biggest sense I had after about a month or so of deleting social media was I just kind of felt a bit more streamlined. I felt like there was one version of me, like the real reality based version of me, that I just had to look after. I didn't have to worry about like this whole other, it was like basically quitting another job. So all these people that you knew, all these colleagues, you could just forget about them and you could just focus on one life essentially. And I think it's that reason that's made me so much more productive since quitting social media. Like, I don't have to worry about what 50 people on my timeline are doing. Not that you worry, but it's like you don't, that doesn't take up brain space anymore. Your brain space is just for the people immediately around you, real connections you have, like people you've actually spoken to. You put more energy into the people who are actually around you, like colleagues, friends, girlfriends. You can put more energy into them because less of that headspace is going off onto other things. And when you do bump into someone that you went to school with or you haven't seen in a while, you do feel out of the loop with them because you haven't been following their progress. But, and this is the thing, you don't need to know everything. 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 You don't need to it's good to feel out of the loop with someone you haven't seen in a while because it makes you interested, it makes you ask questions. And I really do feel like my social skills have kind of improved since then because now when I see people I haven't seen in a while, I ask them questions. I'm like, oh, what are you up to nowadays? And I actually mean it. I don't know that they've got a new job because I saw them post it on Instagram. I don't know that they've just got a puppy or put a deposit down on a house. I just ask them. And it's cool, man. You get some honest answers because you don't just see people's highlights. You also stop doing shit that you were just doing so you could take pictures of it and post. Um, like there'd be a few times where I'd make a meal and I'd dress it up to look all fancy and then take a picture. I haven't done that for 8 months because I, I'm eating it, man. It's all going in the same way. Why do I need to make it look good? Yeah, like I was saying, because you feel a bit more streamlined, you feel like you just got one version of yourself to focus on. Like you've lost a huge information source that was just going into your brain every day. You can then just focus on things you actually want to do. And I found that I've had way more commitment to my goals since getting rid of that than I did before. It's because social media can give you such a big dopamine rush where you see some content that you really enjoy, and then there's long periods where it's just bored or you're scrolling, and then you get that rush again and it spikes back up, and it just basically creates this. It's a bit like going on a slot machine. I'm sure you've heard that analogy before, but when that's removed, instead of looking for quick spikes of dopamine, you start looking for like longer, like delayed gratification. And because of that, I've been studying Spanish every day. I've been working out consistently because it's not more entertaining to me to go on my phone. One myth I want to squash real quick about social media and phone use is that if you reduce your social media intake, you'll reduce your phone usage, um, which you will to a degree, but other apps will creep in if you let it. I remember after I deleted social media, for like a week, I spent like 2 hours a day just scrolling on like Depop and Wish. And I had no intention of buying anything, but it was just to try and get that real quick dopamine fix. If you're aware that you're going to be doing it and your brain's going to try and replace it with something, then it's pretty easy to like notice you're doing it and be like, right, off this now, or like delete it for a few days. But yeah, if not, you can definitely find yourself just scrolling still. I've just finally reduced how severe the fucking lighting was, so it's a little bit late. But if you've made it this far, man, I appreciate you. So yeah, that was 8 months ago, and now I can happily say that I don't miss social media at all. I don't miss Facebook. I don't miss Instagram, Snapchat. Um, I never owned a TikTok. Like I never owned. I've never had a TikTok, but I do feel like that has got to be the worst one for your attention span because I think they're about like 15 seconds maximum, and like every 15 seconds you're just changing something. Like every 15 seconds your attention span can focus on something new. So like 15 seconds that an algorithm has decided is they see the most reward into your brain. Like how the fuck are you meant to pick up a book and read for an hour after you spend 20 minutes changing topics every 15 seconds? Um, I've got quite strong feelings towards social media now. I've tried not to portray them like too much through this video. I do believe it's just the devil's business, man. You should get out if you can, um, because you don't need it. Your friends still talk to you. You still find out things. Like there's ways to live without it, and if you can live without it, you absolutely should. If you can't live without it, you need to. Right, that sounded kind of deep. That was just off the cuff as well. I kind of wish I ended on that note. Yeah, that's my experience. Hopefully, it's been somewhat motivating. If you haven't got rid of your social media already, if you have already, and maybe there's some parts in here you can relate to, let me know. Um, but yeah, just get out while you can. Like, you think you need this content in your life, you don't. I look over my girlfriend's shoulder when she's on Facebook or Instagram, and she's like, it just bores me. It just fucking bores me. The shit that you look at on this screen about people you vaguely know, like you don't need that. You do not need that in your life. So just get gone. Um, Thanks for watching. I actually had some really nice words in my last two videos. Um, so yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you.